When a former White House budget director who never balanced the federal budget claims to have special powers to forecast a major economic crisis, it's hard to understand why anybody pays attention. But recently, David Stockman, who served as Ronald Reagan's budget chief in the 1980s, has gotten a lot of publicity for his fiery Easter Sunday article in the New York Times. The article tells us that America's future is bleak. His advice is getting a lot of attention among triumphant doomsayers who've been predicting America's downfall for decades, and from economists who wonder where Mr. Stockman learned to add and subtract. The article was written to support Stockman's newly released book called The Great Recession, and it shows that the author knows how to generate a lot of attention. It calls the Federal Reserve Board a rogue central bank and declares that the U.S. is fiscally, morally, and intellectually broke. It predicts a global currency war that America is destined to lose. Stockman's advice? Hideout in cash. Is this good advice? Interestingly, the article says that the problems began in 1933 when the American dollar went off the gold standard and have accelerated ever since. But anybody who avoided the U.S. stock market since 1933 and hid out in cash would have missed the greatest period of stock market returns in history, not to mention the enormous strides in our standard of living. Even the Great Recession meltdown in 2008 has been followed by a long, steady recovery that has produced new market highs. And despite 80 years of disconnect from the gold standard, the dollar remains the strongest currency in the world, the reserve currency against which all others are measured. Predicting gloom is a great business to be in because our minds are wired to spook at the first sign of danger, and our eyes are instantly attracted to the warning signs. People buy because they're afraid not to buy. The only problem with the doomsayers who have made these predictions is that they've never actually been right. Betting on the end of the world or the end of the U.S. economy or the death of the stock market has never been a winning choice. In addition, you have to wonder how credible Stockman is. Never balancing a federal budget puts him in pretty good company. But Stockman has had an undistinguished Wall Street career at Salomon Brothers and at the Blackstone Group. At auto supply manufacturer Collins and Aikman, he led the company to Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in under 2 years. If Warren Buffett tells us to get out of stocks, we're going to listen to his arguments carefully. When David Stockman peddles gloom, we simply put our hands over our ears and continue with our investment policies. If his fiery case for gloom and doom makes you nervous, our best advice is to consider what would have happened if you had retreated to cash in 1933, when the S&P 500 was trading at 6.25, and stayed out while it rose to over 1,550. Missing out on a 24,700% growth rate might be too scary even for David Stockman to contemplate.